There you go. Cool.
Right, hello. Welcome to this live stream test of Scottish Football Matters with me, Lorenzo, and my good friend Murray.
Hiya.
We're obviously going to try this out, test it out and see if it works. And if it works, then we'll do this going forward. Tonight, we're just going to discuss the recent red card appeals for Trusty at Celtic and King at St Mirren. We'll discuss the upcoming derby at the weekend between Celtic and Rangers, the officials that have been appointed for that. And then we'll maybe discuss the Dundee United Aberdeen game as well. Cool. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, just managed to get this all set up, so good start. But so the appeals yesterday. We'll start with the King appeal because I think we can all agree on that. It was the wrong decision on the pitch, and the right outcome has come out that he's not banned.
Yep.
I'm sure the Trusty one's a bit more debatable. I'm sure some think it's a red, some think it's a yellow.
I would say a yellow at best.
I'm kind of on the fence for that one. I can understand why it's a red because it's quite a forceful arm to arm, but it's also, to me, it's borderline, isn't it?
I know, but you see that happen all over the pitch.
You knew it was not going to get, the appeal was not going to be successful because
no, I knew that.
As soon as you have anything that's violent conduct, I don't think there was enough evidence to prove it wasn't violent conduct. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of those appeals where you'd go, you know what, that could maybe go your way. But I think 3-match ban's harsh, but that is just the rules. Because obviously he's had a red card before against Hearts, and but it'll be a big 3 games that he misses because he'll miss Rangers in the league and then 2 games in the league against Aberdeen and Motherwell, which tough games for the likes of Benjamin Arthur, Dane Murray, or if you moved Kieran Tierney into centre back and play Sriracha, I think they're tough games for them.
Yeah,
but I can't really argue with the appeal not being successful because I don't think there's enough evidence to overturn it, whether you agree with it or not. So it's one of those ones where you'd go, I don't think VAR needed to get involved. I think the referee could have dealt with it.
They didn't.
But once they did, and once the red card's given, and once you see that it was quite aggressive, there's no way you can overturn that because, do you know what I mean? It's not like, it's just not one of those appeals you're going to win. I think it was a bit of a waste of time by Celtic to even appeal, but
probably. But they had to do it to show some.
They had to try as well, but they should spend more of their time focusing on, bad decisions like possibly the Scales penalty, and there was even a handball in the first half, which was debatable. That you could have got, but they two are more clear cut. That I think we should be pushing. That we still want better.
Yeah,
and I think this isn't just Celtic. I mean, Rangers had issues at the weekend. St Mirren had issues at the weekend with refereeing, and everyone has issues almost every weekend. So I think VAR, it's not great.
No, it's not the best, but we're stuck with it.
Everything about it's just kind of Poundlandy, but
tin pot, definitely.
But I think if we move on to the referees, I think the first thing to say is, no matter who was appointed, one side's going to say he doesn't like us or he doesn't like us. I don't think there's, I'm going to be totally honest, I don't think there's a competent ref that you could have picked.
Probably not.
If they picked John Beaton, Celtic fans are going to go, he's a Rangers fan. If you'd picked Kevin Clancy, Rangers fans are going to go, he's a Celtic fan. If you'd picked Nick Walsh, all the fans would have went, he's incompetent. So, what do you do?
Wow.
What I would say is that out of the 4 of them, of all the ones that are there, I think they're all relatively inept. So, I think both sides can have complaints about all of them, because I think Stephen McLean's useless. I think Kevin Clancy's terrible. I think John Beaton is terrible. And I can't remember who the other one was. But I know they were the 2 VAR ones. I don't really mind about linesmen's. They're not going to cause major issue. But I think the bigger call is who's in VAR nowadays, because they make the decisions.
Oh,
whoever's on the pitch, is kind of, so people can't really complain about Beaton because he doesn't get to really make the decisions. They re-referee the game back there.
I know they do.
I just hope there isn't any major things, and I hope it's just one of those games that whoever plays better wins, and we don't have a full week of talking about what happened before the next one comes up. But as I said, I don't think anyone, whether you're pro Rangers, pro Celtic, or neutral, would like a referee. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the options that we have, I don't think there's a great one.
No. I'd say that most of the referees, if not all of them, are pretty bad.
I think there's a few that are trying, like some of the newer faces, like even though the one at the weekend for Rangers made a mistake, but at least
Dickinson's bad as well, though. David Dickinson's he's a terrible referee.
I think we had one at the weekend. Is it somebody Lee? Maybe he's trying. He's new, and I'm okay with. At least I've not got previous with these guys.
I don't like McDermott. I don't think he's good either.
He's terrible.
Aye.
But they all are. There's not one that I would go and say, he's
just sack them and get English referees to do it.
But yeah, I think, as I said, I don't think it matters who's in charge, and I think the main thing is that you just hope that we're not talking about referees and officials come Monday.
Aye.
But in terms of last night's game, Aberdeen-Dundee United, I don't think there was a lot of excitement in that game, but I do think a lot of that was down to the pitch. Pitch looked terrible. It looked absolutely, I mean, it looked like a cowfield.
For wanting a better word.
There was more sand and mud than grass.
Yeah.
And that's not great for a top flight game. I understand the weather's been honking in Dundee and Aberdeen and whatnot, but
it was at Tannadice, wasn't it?
It was at Tannadice, aye.
And
usually you go there in a few weeks, and
you know their nickname.
It'll be better.
You know their nickname? They call them the Arabs, right? Do you know how
There's
they got that nickname?
Sand there.
Do you know how they got that nickname?
Yeah.
It's because parts of the pitch years ago, I think it must have been the 60s or something, maybe early 70s. Parts of the pitch were pretty bad, and they used to put sand on them to fix it. But it looked as if there was more sand than grass, so that's why they called them the Arabs, because it looked as if they were playing in the desert.
It's back to that. Because it looked horrible, and even Peter Leaven said after the game that was, in all his years in football, that's the worst pitch he's ever seen. And that's saying something, because I bet he played on, remember the old Motherwell pitch? Before they got, I mean, that didn't even have grass on it.
And that was, I know, that was like a bog itself.
That had less grass on it than some of the artificial ones.
That was probably worse than some of the artificial ones we've seen.
I know, but no, the worst one was, do you remember when Livingston's had all those wee black balls on them?
Black dots on them,
It was terrible, because it was all rubbery crap that was just coming up like you're at fives.
In the eye.
But yeah, so I think Falkirk were the winners last night, because the two teams that can technically catch them both drew. So they'll be chuffed that they've not wasted their games in hand, but they'll be looking at it and going, Dundee United's other game in hand is, I can't remember, Aberdeen's got Celtic, and I think Dundee United's maybe got Motherwell or something, and you're just looking at it going, it's not a great chance that they're going to pick up 3 points in those games. So Falkirk will be sitting there going, brilliant, that'll do for me. So I think they're nailed on for the top six now.
They are, I would say so.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to kind of discuss? I know that we've obviously got Celtic on tomorrow night, and I suppose, how do you see your team lining up tomorrow? Do you think you will see the likes of Sinisalo and
I would hope,
Dean Murray?
I would like to think so. Maybe not so much Dean Murray.
Well, if you're going to use him on Sunday, you'd like to think he plays tomorrow.
I don't think he'll play. I think Benjamin Arthur will play on Sunday.
I'm just saying, because he can't play. Would you try and get? Obviously, Arthur can't play tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
Would you try and get 90 minutes into Dean Murray just in case you need to use him?
Possibly.
Because I wouldn't be risking Liam Scales. Because if Liam Scales plays tomorrow and picks up an injury,
I know.
What do you do?
I'm no Liam Scales' biggest fan, as you know.
He's a damn sight better than Dane Murray, and he's
I know.
far more
He
experienced than Ben
is.
Arthur, and he's better than Tierney would be at centre back, because that's the other option, is that you go Sriracha left back, Tierney centre back.
So hopefully, I mean, I'm hoping that it's going to be as much a changed team as you can get with the limitations we've got for the European squad.
Just play the guys you're not going to play at Ibrox, like
that's what I would.
and
That's what I would do. That's what I would do. Well, that's what I would do.
Although I think Maeda will play against Rangers, just because he's got previous.
The experience he's got, I would say he would play.
Maybe Martin will look at. I don't think you start Taneki on Sunday.
No, I wouldn't, because he's better off the bench. He is better off the bench.
I think you'll go with Maeda, Chanspara, and Yang. That'll be your front three. I think your midfield will be Oxlade, Chamberlain, Negrin, and McGregor. And I actually think your back four will be. I think he's going to do the Sriracha, Tierney, Scales, Arajo.
So you don't think? You don't
I've
think
just got a feeling. Aye, it's just a feeling how I think he'll go.
You don't think there's much chance of a formation change, but you think we'll see two strikers up front rather than the kind of one?
Not to start, no.
No.
Because then that would mean maybe. I mean, unless you went the three at the back.
I know, but that would do. I mean, Martin O'Neill was
good
at that.
But having centre backs. I could see he's doing that in the cup game because Trusty's back for that. You could potentially go with like a Tierney, Scales, Trusty back three, and go with the two up top, because that's Martin O'Neill's formation, isn't it?
The reason I mentioned that is because it's no. I mean, I know we've been getting away with late winners and all that recently, but it's not really working.
Nothing you've done has worked this season. And to be honest, when Rangers played the two up front against Hearts, it looked good. It looked for Rangers, it certainly looked like we had more players in the box, and even though I don't think we played brilliant against Hearts, the reason we won was because we were on the front foot, because we had an attacking formation, and Chomiti looked good because I think he had players next to him. I honestly think that was part of the reason. And I know he looked good at Celtic Park that one time, but I think that was just an anomaly. And obviously he was against Nancy's Celtic, where you literally have so much room to run into.
That's right.
One of the things you would say about Chomiti, if you're going to give him praise, is that he's got pace, and he's, and if you give somebody who's big, strong and fast loads of grass to run into, he's going to cause problems. But I only think he looked good against Hearts because the formation change. So I'd love to see an Old Firm game where both of us had two up front. That'd be mad, wouldn't it?
That would be good. That'd be good. It'd be really good, aye.
But we'll see. I mean, I've got to admit, if it was my Rangers team on Sunday, I would go Butland, Romans, Fernandez, Giga. I would drop Suter because he was honking at the weekend. Tavernier. I'd go three in midfield: Diomande, Raskin, Chukmani. I'd give Mikey Moore a free roll, and I'd play Nadiri and Chomiti. So I'd be like a 4-3-1-2. And to me, I think you would get a lot more out of that. And especially because the only way of us beating Celtic, right, is to win the midfield battle. And the one thing I would say is bad about Celtic, even though it isn't bad, Celtic's midfield are all technically good. There's no much legs there. I think if your midfield's Negrin, McGregor, and
Oxlade
Chamberlain, I don't think it's the quickest, most mobile midfield I've ever seen. So maybe that's where you could win a battle. And the other battle you need to win is against, if you're going to have an inexperienced centre back or a left back playing centre back, you want two strikers in there to cause problems.
But the thing is, I know you were talking about Dane Murray. I know that he probably, if he's going to play the Mora, he would have to play the Mora. But
I don't think he plays.
But he didn't bring him on at the weekend against Hibs, though. He brought Benjamin Arthur on. So to me, that signals that he probably will play Arthur against Rangers. I know he can't play the Mora, but
I know. But there was not a game though where he brought. He had Welsh on a bench or something, or there was a game, and then the next game, Welsh wasn't anywhere to be seen, and then he went off to Motherwell. So I think Martin O'Neill just chooses what he thinks the best for that day. I wouldn't read too much into who came on, and obviously he might have looked at the pitch and thought, we've brought Hatate on, we've lost maybe a wee bit of height, so maybe he wanted the big boy on. Maybe he just saw him as more of a physical specimen. But then if you look at Rangers, you would go Benjamin Arthur should be good for that, because Chomiti's a big lad and so is Nadiri. I don't think you would want him up against Tierney or Murray, because
right.
I fancy that
Murray's not got a lot of experience, hasn't he, really?
He's not got experience, but I also don't think he's particularly physical.
Neither is Arthur, I suppose.
But Arthur looks physical and he looks fast. Arthur kind of looks like
Van Dijk.
I'd say Van Dijk, but I'd say he's more
Denier.
I'm more Denier, like that sort of, like, he's big, he's strong, and he's quick, and that's quite key. And to be honest, I mean, in fact, there's similarities to him and Giga, actually, because I think Giga, his biggest problem is that I don't think he's positionally, I think he's been a wee bit suspect. But see, when it comes to his recovery pace and that, he's brilliant. Like he's been excellent at that, but it's just more positionally he's been caught out a wee bit. But it'll certainly be interesting. Whatever lineups come out on Sunday, but.
Yeah. There was one final thing I wanted to mention, and obviously it was the Bodo Glimt result last night.
Another good result, wasn't a surprise.
Aye, but then the thing that gets me about this is that I'm going to obviously use Celtic as the example here as well with them, that because I've heard that a lot on other podcasts, that they've got a fraction of their budget, but they still managed to get to where they're getting to. And I think the majority of their team last night was apart from one player, was Danes and Norwegians.
Yeah, and
how are they doing it?
Good recruitment, having a philosophy that they stick by no matter what. Because I mean, you've seen what happened, but then
they've got a structure.
The problem is that Rangers and Celtic both tried philosophy style managers this season, and look what happened. I don't think, but I think the thing is with Bodo Glimt is there was years of it not being successful before it became successful. Now, Bodo Glimt weren't the top dogs in Norway. It was Rosenborg. It was
for years.
Mulder probably were ahead of them too. So
Rosenborg, did they not win something like 14 in a row? Something like that?
Rosenborg and Mulder were the Rangers Celtic. So Bodo Glimt got to be like the Hearts or the Motherwell. In fact, I'd compare it to Motherwell. Motherwell's a great example because you can see how they're building something. Now, in 5 years, they might, if they kept with the same manager, they'd be winning titles.
Who?
Motherwell. If I'm just saying, if they kept to their, it's quite similar. They could be winning titles because if you keep to an idea and then you improve players, sell them on, buy better ones, that's how you do it.
I'm not saying they won't, but Jens Bertalascu won't be there in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is, the thing is with Bodo Glimt is what we're saying is their manager hasn't wanted to leave, and he's had offers to go to Ajax and possibly Glasgow.
Let's mention the fact that the reason he's not wanted to leave is because of the transfer policy thing they've got, whereas he gets a cut of the transfer fee.
Exactly, he gets.
So of course he's not going to want to leave.
And also he's quite an old manager now. Not old, but like he's like what, 57 maybe.
Is he? So that's right. I didn't realise he was old as that.
So I suppose he's comfortable, isn't he? And he obviously loves where he lives. He loves his family's there, whatever. And if you were selling players on, like if they sell Hauger or Ho, they can get 10 million. He can pocket $1 million each on both of those transfers. He's loving life.
Oh, definitely.
And there's other players. I mean, that boy that scored the second goal last night, he's a player, by the way. I watched him score earlier in the Champions League, and it's not just like the two big strikers or there's quality all over that team. And
Kasper Hawk didn't even score last night. He was playing.
The boy is it Evian or Evgen or something?
That's like something like that.
He's brilliant. And there's other ones. I mean, I'm just trying to go through their squad because everyone talks about Jens Peter Hauger and Kasper Ho and Patrick Berg. They're the big three, right? Because Patrick Berg left and then came back because he wasn't good enough elsewhere. Same with Jens Peter Hauger. He tried it, failed, came back. But there's other players like I think Saltness in midfield. Every time I see him, he looks a player. Fett, I think his name is Sondre Fett. I think he scored in the first leg. And as I said, that Hakon Evian, I thought he's 26, right? And he looked brilliant. But then, apparently, when he plays in Norway, he looks like by average. It's mad, isn't it? But I also think that people underestimate them in Europe, and they can play with that kind of freedom. If they start becoming a top team in Europe, people will maybe set up differently, and would they be great against a low block? Would they be great against a team that, like a Mourinho team that, obviously I know they smashed Mourinho's teams in the past, but would they smash a Mourinho team now that might just go there and go, I know what you can do, 5, 4, 1, break us down?
So you're thinking that teams that are coming up against them don't take them seriously?
Maybe not seriously, but I think they definitely underestimate them.
Aye.
And obviously you need to remember that all their home games are on a horrible plastic pitch in the fucking Arctic Circle.
That's another thing. Why is a plastic pitch allowed to be used in the Champions League?
Because where they are, it's very difficult to probably grow grass.
That's why I'd probably be frozen all the time.
in their defence. But I do think that's a factor. I do. I think
it will be. Obviously, Celtic know that because we've been there playing.
But it's not just the plastic pitch, because we've all been to teams like Malmo and Molde, and they're not going. They're not going to the last 16 of the Champions League, or I think the semi-finals of the Europa League last year.
Huh?
But don't get me wrong, though. I mean, teams like Rangers have went to Europa League finals, and Rangers have went to the last 16. Celtic have went to the last 16 multiple times.
I don't think Rangers have come up against Bodo Glimt in Europe, though, have they? I don't remember.
No, I don't think Bodo are doing anything that Rangers and Celtic haven't done. But I think what they're doing they're doing it consistently.
Aye.
Which I would say Rangers and Celtic haven't done.
That's the problem I've got, the fact that we can't do that. Because
I think Celtic have got to the last 16 a few times. It will happen again. Rangers, I expect, will be in another European final at some point, whether it's Conference League, Europa League. It can happen. But I don't see as being a team that, I mean, we have been pretty good in Europe up until this season. So I suppose that is a bit of a contradiction, because Rangers actually have been decent consistently in the Europa League, but we couldn't quite take that into the Champions League. But then you need to remember that our squad gets turned over year after year after year.
We don't keep players.
If you keep rebuilding, then
you're never going to get progress. You're never going to get
progress.
Whereas
I'm hoping that Rangers are actually building something decent now with a lot of 22-year-olds who, if they stay till 25, we could have a settled team.
I would like to see Celtic do that, but
we can't rip it up every year like we do.
But they always seem to take the offers that come in for these players, and then when that happens, if they don't sell them, the players become unsettled. And like I'll use Maeda obviously as an example in that. He was promised a move, didn't get it. I think Yang was a minute away from getting away.
He hasn't chucked it though. Yang showed.
No, Yang's not chucked it.
Brilliant attitude.
But you can see what I mean by him using the examples. Like
I think he's chosen an attitude that he thinks I'll perform better and I'll get a better move.
A Yang?
Aye, whereas Maeda's probably taking the hump. But then I think it could cost Maeda not a place in the Japan squad, because I think he actually nailed on, but it might cost him a start. Because I think he'd have been nailed on to start. But now you're looking at him and going, would you pick him?
I know, because he's not been very good of late.
He can press, but that's not enough.
And he's fast. He is fast. Eventually, he's going to lose his pace eventually because he's getting older.
Look, even Kyogo pressed well. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never seen a lazy Japanese player.
No, they're all hard working.
Even Hatate works hard. Doesn't happen for him, and I think he's moping about because it's not happening.
I think Iwata.
I think Hatate's issue now is more that he's playing like a frustrated player because nothing's coming off from him.
Yeah,
and I think it's affecting him, his mentality a bit.
It is.
But I don't think he's chucked it. I think I've heard that banded about so much that Hatate's chucked it. No, he isn't. He's just playing like a guy who's no playing well.
And I know they've said that the two guys was Inamura and Shin Yamada.
No, didn't get
they're saying that they're not good enough for Celtic. I can't comment on that because
they might not be, but they might.
A chance.
But then that's the thing. If you go and try and sign 8 Japanese players, right, they're not all going to be a success.
Well, that was the same way when Ange did it. Ange did it with a few.
That Kobayashi was pish.
Kobayashi.
No, but Iwata was good.
I'd say Ideguchi never really came good because he got a bad injury and it never really worked for him.
And then the Korean ones, was okay. Yang has been okay to
Kwon
good.
Never got a chance.
Quan, you just get papped out to Hibs and St Mirren.
He never got a chance.
So some work, some don't. I've got to admit, it's a market that I'd like to see Rangers go into.
I like the Japanese market.
I don't think we've exploited. I think we're quite good at that Scandinavian market. I think we've proved that.
But I'm not saying we get lucky, but we had a guy in Ange that had knowledge of the market. Whereas what you would need is somebody that would have knowledge of that area, like of the world.
It's not difficult, is it?
No?
Send a scout out there and tell him to live there.
That's right. That's what you do.
Live there for 6 months and tell us
and then he gets knowledgeable of the league. Exactly.
I'd expect Rangers and Celtic don't operate like big clubs. We want to compare them to Bodo Glimt. We're not operating like a big club.
No.
Because Rangers are too quick to go, okay, let's try this. Doesn't work, rip it up, start again. Let's try this, rip it up, start again. Celtic are too tight at board level to invest big because they tried it once under Brendan Rodgers and in their eyes it failed. But see, in reality, you got your money back on Ida.
Well,
he's lost a couple of million, right? Let's say, right, if you were to sell Trusty tomorrow, right, you'd get 3-4 million easy, right? So you wouldn't be losing. You're not losing a big amount, though, right?
No.
And if you sell Engels, you're going to make 10 million easy, right?
That was proved with the offer that came in from in the window.
So that proves, though, if you spend big, it can work, because even if only 1 out of the 3 work well, then if you look at that as a combined thing, you're going to make money. And I think Celtic don't look at it that way.
And you've got the English clubs
to accumulate.
You've got the English clubs buy players, but not every single player that they pay good money for works.
Yeah,
they
can spend 40 million and go, that guy's pish.
I get that, but surely Celtic can do it to an extent and buy a player, and if it doesn't work, they can admit, oh well, we got that wrong, even though we spent 8-9 million on him or whatever. It's going to happen.
Let's be honest, every Rangers fan is up in the air about Chamiti, but we were apparently getting bids of 13-14 million from him in January, and I think he's hopeless in terms of what we need, in terms of a striker who can score on a regular basis. But already within 6 months, apparently we can make a £5 to £6 million profit. That's mad.
It was the same with
Bernabei. And I think Celtic fans think Engels is quite average.
Aye, but it was the same with Bernabei. He was at Celtic, hardly played.
Yeah,
and then we made a profit on him and we sold him. So that can work it that way as well. It can work that way.
I think O is one of the most average strikers in the world, but he's went on to 15-20 million pound moves.
I know.
And I watched him at Ibrox this year, and he was worse than Dessers. He literally took about 8 chances to get 1 goal.
It would be hard to be worse than Dessers, eh?
I don't know. I actually think O is, honestly. Because at least Dessers has done it for years and years and been that pish, but consistently scored.
It's the same with Negrin's pish, but he scores goals all the time.
You should probably just play him up front, because he might do well there. Because he's not got the legs for a midfield.
I know that. Aye.
But I think he's a player that if you keep him, you'll make a lot of money on him, because you only signed him for 1.2 million, something like that.
Something like that.
Quite similar to what we paid for Raskin, because he had 6 months left in his deal. It was very similar, and if we can both sell them on for 20 million, that's the business model we need to do. But I think we also need to do the other end, as you said, try and get an Engels.
Aye.
And sell them on for bigger. Try a Chamiti. It might not work, but
try and sign players for 10 million every now and again. You're not always going to get.
See if you can sell them for 25, 30. I mean, look at Fernandes, right? I don't think Fernandes is a finished article, right? But they're already talking about Arsenal, Chelsea, Leverkusen, Dortmund. They're all watching him now, and they're willing to pay 15 to 20 million. And that's a project.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he is to them. It's somebody that they go, all right, data wise.
Means he'll not get a game. He'll get a game noon again.
He's 8'2" or whatever, right? He's huge, right? But the eye test tells me that he's positionally honking. His passing's terrible, right? But he can attack a ball, and there's something about him that's good. But the data people eat him up, because they're going to go, he's scored 7 goals and he's won 85% of his headers, you go, aye, but you know, if a 6'5" guy's up against a 5'9" striker, he should be winning 85% of his headers. Probably should be winning 100%.
Exactly.
But do you know what I mean? Everything's so data driven now that's why the likes of Engels and Chermiti tick so many boxes, but yet the fans go, what?
I know. He's
rotten.
He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Aye, and what we want is consistency. Whereas we look at Engels and go, aye, he plays well one game and then 3 pish ones. I look at Fernandes and go, aye, he's good in the opposition box, but shite in his own box. He should defend first. And we look at Chermiti and go, he can score in big games, but no against Livingston.
It's like Nigrin as well again. I mean, obviously he scores goals, but that's all he does. He doesn't do anything else.
I know, but that will be ticking someone's box, which is late runs into midfield, goals from midfield. Someone will be on a chart right now going, Benjamin Nigrin's a £20 million player because he can get 18 goals from midfield.
Well, the last player I remember doing that was probably it'd probably be Commons, but I'd say Craig Burley was good at that. Craig Burley was good at that for Celtic.
I was going to say Petrov had one season, did he not, where he got like 14, 15.
Aye.
I remember there was a season under Martin O'Neill where I'm pretty sure he got 14, 15, but he was also a good player. Whereas Nigrin probably doesn't do it.
Stuart Armstrong, I can't remember how many he scored, but he was good as well.
He's got a wee bit of Lampard about him though, that he scores and it kind of masks the fact that he's shite. No, but it does. So I used to watch Chelsea all the time and go, how does nobody just man mark him? Because he's not a great footballer.
Aye.
Like he was never as good as Scholes or Gerrard, who you could go, they're brilliant at pass and tackling. Lampard was just shots.
Aye.
But nobody could ever figure out how to stop him. And he would get 20 goals a season every year. That's and you'd go, and it wasn't just like a one. I mean, this could be a fluke when Nigrin, right? I don't think it is, but it could be. Whereas Lampard,
but you mean like a one-season wonder type?
Aye, like Maeda last season when he tried to look like a footballer, and now this season he looks like a headless chicken again.
But the thing is, Maeda did look like a footballer, and if he'd done that consistently, be excellent.
No. I remember Lovenkrantz did it one year. Lovenkrantz turned into a footballer one year to get a free transfer move to Schalke. He was honestly brilliant that final season, scoring against Inter Milan, Porto, every game in the Champions League he seemed to score, right? But I knew he was still pish. I knew he could still, like, he ran about like a headless chicken and he didn't have any sort of first touch. And I think Maeda is a wee bit Lovenkrantzy. I don't think that's not a diss, because Lovenkrantz was a hero to some Rangers fans because he scored big goals, and Maeda scored big goals. But yeah, I think there is similarities there in terms of technically they're a wee bit shite. But nobody cares though. If he scores the winning goal on Sunday, everyone's like, Maeda's brilliant.
Aye, nobody's going to bother.
You forget 10 shite games because they play one amazing game. And I think that Maeda is very much like that. Aye. But so shall we leave it there in terms of the test? And are we going to try this then for the next one?
We will. If this has worked, then we'll give it a go. Definitely. I mean,
to me, it's no different. It's still the same kind of setup. It just obviously involves less for you.
Aye, that's right. That's right. If I don't need to edit stuff and it just automatically goes onto YouTube, then great.
Yep. So I'll let you stop recording and leave it there. And thanks for setting up the test. And we'll
see how it goes.
See how it goes with there.
Right. Cheers.
Cool.
Right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.